Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for telling my fiance that me getting a job isn't an option unless changes are made? I have an income. I make $800 to $1,000 a month, but it's while doing a hobby, not a real job. So here's the deal. Pre-virus I worked as a medtech, and I had been working there for 4 years. I made great money because of how much overtime I worked weekly. It was not a choice I made to work that much. We had a policy where, if someone called out, you were not allowed to leave unless you found coverage for the shift that someone else abandoned. This was because it was only me and one other CRMA on the floor for over 200 residents and they needed meds but no one else was qualified. Usually the only people who could cover was management and they just outright refused 24/7, so I got stuck there nearly every single day to cover. During this time my fiance didn't work. Someone needed to stay home with the kids. Well, I caught the virus from work and was out 14 days. Unpaid. When I came back I was told to turn in my badge and leave. They got me for job abandonment because I didn't call in every single day. I was awarded wrongful termination compensation, but refused to return after that. Currently my fiance works 2 jobs. By his own choice. He comes home the other day completely burnt out. I get that. I was that person so I understand. But he took it at this moment and decided to lash out and tell me I needed to get a real job because him working 2 jobs isn't what he fucking wants. It's not what I want either. But here's the thing. We are down to 1 vehicle, he totaled his. Schedule clash. No one will be here to get the kids off the bus, they are young, etc. So I told him that I would not be getting a real job unless changes were made. Either we get a 2ND vehicle and he stops using mine, because I will not be getting the kids up at 4:30 am to drive him to work, going back to get the kids on the bus, leaving work early to get the kids off the bus, and then going back out an hour later to collect him from work an hour and 20 minutes away every single day. He finds a way to get the kids off the bus or pays for a daycare, which we cannot afford, his words. He won't though. We don't have the means to, so it's not an unreasonable refusal, but we truly cannot do it. We have no friends in the area. All family lives out of state, so we have no chance at getting help with the kids and it's not like I don't have an income. But he thinks I'm just sitting around having fun while he busts his ass and that's not the case. But he has resorted to saying I'm living the high life when he is bending backwards. I've also tried applying for at-home positions, but that pisses him off because he thinks I'm going to become isolated and depressed from lack of socialization. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. So, when you worked away from home, and he was home with the kids, not making hobby money, and with a vehicle of his own it was fine. Now that he's working away from home, and you're staying home with the kids, making a bit extra, and have no vehicle, it's not NTA at all. That's why I'm so peeved about this. I think, like, yes, he stayed home and looked after the kids and fed them and cleaned the house sometimes, but everything else was him playing video games. I on the other hand take care of all household duties, kids duties, dog duties and still find time to create specialized items and generate income. Am I the antagonist for making a joke about my brother's divorce? Throwaway. My wife, Elle, and I have been married for a year now. Back in the day, Elle worked as a sports model. Her job required her to meet a very rigid beauty standard and look a certain way. She was always on a strict diet and was severely underweight. Since then, she's gained a healthy amount of weight and muscle and is much happier. My brother, Chris, is wealthy, like extremely wealthy, has done well for himself and seems happy about where he is in life. Has just got out of a nasty divorce with his ex-wife and has asked to stay with me for a few weeks as he moves into his new place. Chris, to put it simply, has a type. He believes that every woman should subscribe to his type. Any woman who doesn't fit his preference is automatically ugly and unlovable. He wants all women to conform to his standards. Hell or high water. 2 days ago, Chris found some of Elle's old magazine covers and commented on how beautiful she was back then. It's a harmless comment, sure. But he kept bringing up how much Sl let herself go. I mean, kept bringing it up. Elle goes for a run every evening, and as she was heading out the door, Chris told her to run fast enough to lose all the flabby bits. She rolled her eyes and laughed it off, but I told him to shut up. The next day, when Elle went to the gym, he told her to make sure to return to her old figure. Again, I told him to shut up and stop fixating on my wife's body. Despite all his comments, Elle is a little unfazed by all of it. She says that she's used to it. By the end of the day, I was completely exhausted from listening to him. I was at my end. But Elle again brushed him off with a smile and with a laugh. When Elle served him food, he made a joke about paying for her tummy tuck so that I can marry the right version of Elle. The right version is the skinnier version of her. That comment set me off. I told him that his wife married the wrong version of him and to pack his shit and leave my house. He did not take kindly to this and complained about how insensitive I was to his situation and how I made a low blow. He eventually left, but Elle tells me that I could have kicked him out without the comment. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA, your brother is proof that money doesn't buy class, and if this is how he treats women, I suspect this will be one of many divorces in his future. And he will get older while the wives are all the same age. NTA, if he is going to be insensitive to other people, then he should expect to receive insensitive comments with his views and unsolicited advice. I don't think Chris is anyone's type. Maybe if he treated women differently, he may still be married. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom and her husband that I can't wait to turn 18 to leave their house? When I, 16 male, was 5, my mom, 34F, had an affair and left me and my dad, 35 male, for a wealthier man. For 2 years, I only saw my mom like 4 or 5 times. I can't even remember, but not more than that. Then she disappeared and didn't contact us again. I even thought that she was dead. I think my dad thought it was too much responsibility for him, or was angry at my mom, and somehow wanted to take everything that reminded him of her away. So he sent me to live with my maternal aunt, and I only saw him like 2 or 3 times a month for half an hour. Unfortunately, my aunt died of cancer last year. I thought my dad would take me in, but he's busy with his new family, wife, and kids. My grandma, dad's mother, wanted to take me, but then my egg donor came out of the blue to take me. When she came to take me, it was the first time I saw her in 9 years, and it felt weird, and it sucked that she hugged me and kissed me as if nothing happened in those 9 years. She married the man she left us for, and they now have 3 kids, 10 meters, 8F, 7F. I've been living with them for 6 months now, and I spend most of the time in my room, since we are in another city 6 hours away, and I have no friends here. We rarely speak. She tries to talk to me, but I ignore her and her husband. They try to include me in activities, but it sucks seeing them play the perfect family when I missed everything as a child, so I don't really like them. Her husband tries to make me call him dad. He tries to spend time with me and talk to me. He knows I love tennis, so he learned about it and has listed me in tennis lessons and wants to talk about it all the time he sees me. He even wants to take me to some matches. He introduces me as his son, and I hate it, since all I see is the guy that stole my mom from me when I needed her the most. It happened yesterday. He asked me to go with him to the grocery store, and then he met a friend of his, and as his friend hasn't seen me in any family photo, he asked about me, and then my mom's husband said, he is my firstborn. You didn't know about him, because he was living with a sister of my wife's. I didn't make a scene there, but when we got out, I told him to never say he is my father. He is just a home wrecker who stole my mom. We got home, and he told my mom, then my mom, almost crying, said, you hate us that much, don't you? So I said, of course. You left me, and now you want to act like nothing happened by playing the happy family. TBH, I can't wait to turn 18 and leave, and I'm not sure if I ever want to see you again. She started crying, and her husband comforted her. So I just went to my room. They tried to talk to me, but I've just ignored them. I told a friend of mine about this, and he says Now for the top comments. NTA. You've been abandoned by both your parents. Yes, your dad too. You're allowed to be angry about it. I've been in those shoes and still think about it to this day. How my parents both at separate times decided that they would have been better off without me and my brother. I still have severe abandonment issues, even when they came back into my life. Always floating around in the back of my head. NTA op. I know you said they're not close by, but see if you can't call a friend of yours about contacting a lawyer to work towards getting emancipated early. It's not healthy to be in this environment. NTA. I'm so sorry for the life you've had. It's hard being a teenager under any circumstances. But you've been dealt a bad hand, and your feelings are valid. Is there any chance you could still live with your grandmother? Your mother and her husband are trying to make up for the wrongs she has done. But if they care, they might let you live with your grandmother if it would make you happier. If that isn't possible, see if you can get into therapy. It won't change your situation, but it will help you cope with it. Good luck and I hope things work out. Am I the antagonist for going home after my husband left me alone at his mum's house? I, F28 am wheelchair user. Have been in a wheelchair since 2019. I had learned to do most things on my own, but transportation falls solely on my husband. Male 34. Meaning he's the one who takes me place, say the mall or pharmacy. Lately, he's been leaving me at my mother-in-law's place and disappearing for hours. His mom's really sweet and makes feel comfortable, but I just don't like being away from home for a long time. He's late due to work or traffic. Sometimes he'd turn his phone off and be unavailable. Sometimes he'd only respond when his mom calls. Few days ago he told me he wanted to go to friend's engagement dinner party. I said I wanted to go with him, but he said it'd be better if I stayed with his mom till he get back. I said I'd rather stay home, but he got mad at me and said he'd take me with him. He stopped by his mom's house and dropped me there. I asked him why we were at his mom's house and not his friend's party. He said he had an hour before the event and had to get some work done urgently and he'd come back for me and we'd go together to the party. He left and I stayed inside with his mom. We talked and she brought me coffee and sweets. An hour went by and I started calling him. He didn't respond at first but then turned his phone off later. I felt so mad I kept calling despite knowing his phone was off. I asked his mom to try calling him and it was still turned off. I waited 3 hours and I just knew he lied about taking me to the party. I called my sister to take me home, but mother-in-law insisted I stay with her because he told her to not let me go anywhere unless he returned. I ended up going home and my sister stayed with me for the night because he was still unreachable. He returned the next day looking upset, saying I shouldn't have left his mom's house and gone anywhere without waiting for him. I asked him where he was and he admitted to lying about taking me to the party, saying it would have been boring and uncomfortable for me and thought I'd enjoy staying with his mom and looking at her new plants instead. He then explained that he got drunk and had to sleep at a friend's place and left his phone off. We had the biggest argument about it and I told him that what he did was unacceptable, but he said I overreacted because it wasn't like he ditched me at some public place and said that by leaving I hurt both his and his mom's feelings. I said I won't argue about this anymore, but he said that I acted childishly, throwing a fit over not attending some 3-hour event that he himself thought was trashy and classless. Edit. His friend confirmed that he was there. Now for the top comments. NTA. Why are you staying with your husband at this point? He's ditching you at his mom's repeatedly to go off and do whatever. He doesn't seem to care about your wants. How on earth were his feelings hurt by you leaving his mom's house? It sounds like he's up to something and is trying to keep you out of his way. His behavior is so suspicious. I was cringing whilst reading this. What a horrible husband. NTA, your husband is lying to you. What, specifically, he is hiding is debatable. But he has empowered his mom as a co-conspirator, even if she is not aware of the details in his scheme. He is using your wheelchair-bound mobility as a way to do other things. W/OU. I'm so sorry you are in this situation, but you are absolutely not the a-hole. Your husband is gaslighting you on a major level. The thing that jumped instantly into my head is that he's having an affair in their shared house. It's a leap. I fully acknowledge. But that's what I immediately thought. It is weird to insist she must go to his mother's when she was willing to stay at home if she wasn't graciously allowed to attend the party by him. Even weirder that she wasn't allowed to leave until he came and got her. He wanted her out of the house and made his mother into her jailer. Op, you are being abused. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom to leave my house? My 34 male wife died 2 years ago. I'm now a single dad to our 3 kids. 7 male and 4 F twins. Because I have to work 2 jobs. All grandparents have been babysitting a lot. My mother moved in with us 7 months ago. Because her rent got way too expensive. And honestly I just really needed the help. A few weeks ago my mother asked me if I will ever remarry because the kids will need a mom. And I brushed it off and asked her not to talk about that anymore. Last week she asked my kids at breakfast if they would like to have a new mommy. I snapped at her and told her to stop it. Later that day she told me that her friend's daughter is single, divorced, and would be great for me. I told her I'm not interested and not to bring it up in front of the kids. Yesterday I came home to my girls crying and my boy trying to comfort them. I ask what happened and my son tells me that a new mommy is coming and that they don't want a new mom. I lost it, went to my mum's room and yelled at her, then told her to get out of my house the next day. Today, the kids went to stay with my brother for the night. When I came home today, she was still here and begged me to give her another chance. I said she crossed this line too many times. I said she has another night here. Then she better figure something else out. My brother said I overreacted. My in-laws are on my side. And my sister said I'm an R and I owe mom a place to live. And that she is a good person. AITA? Now for the top comments. NTA, and in your sister's own words, she owes your mother a place to live as well. So it is your sister's turn. Fucking this. The asshole family that always has an opinion never seem to want to open their own doors to help, but will go full tilt into the criticism of someone else not helping. NTA. You're protecting your kids. End of discussion. NTA at all. She doesn't care at all about your feelings or boundaries, and she's willing to traumatize your children to push her own agenda. You have threatened her with consequences, and now you have to follow through with the consequences. The kids aren't safe around her. She can go stay with one of her other kids if they are so supportive of her behavior. Am I the antagonist for not choosing my brother over my foster kids? I'm child free by choice. 52F. Never had BO kids. I was married once and divorced. And turns out I love just being by myself. A few years ago I became financially secure for real, not just living paycheck to paycheck like before. And I decided to foster. I'm currently fostering 2 boys, 15 and 17. They moved in with me soon after the pandemic hit. I set up their college funds. I buy them all the stuff they need. Pay for hobbies, summer camps etc. Tennis lessons. Because I felt they deserve a life beyond what the state is paying for them. My brother asked me for a loan a few weeks ago. He said he needs it for his wife's surgery, not elective. It's a serious condition, and I told him I will try and help out as much as I can. Last week I texted him a number one could manage to give him, think like $10K, and they need almost $80K. He called me disappointed and crying, saying he needs me to loan them like $50K, because I'm the wealthiest family member. I told him the $10K is a gift and they don't need to pay me back. But I can't in any way afford $50K. He said I could afford it if I gave up the fosters. I told him that was a really horrible thing to say. And he said I can at least stop spending money on them and save up to help my real family. I said I'm really sorry, but $10K is really all I can give. He called me selfish and a B. AITA? Now for the top comments. NTA. He was out of line. Hopefully he will apologize in time. He is desperate, doesn't know your finances and spoke in a moment of anger over his own inadequacies as provider. I agree with this. NTA absolutely not. The kids you are fostering aren't something you can just give up whenever. I get that his wife needs the money, but you shouldn't be asked to jail-leave your children. BTW. The funny thing is that he would never ask this if it was your biological children. As if your foster kids are less valued or something.